The rain hit the old cargo plane like bullets as it dropped low over the Amazon. Inside, the passengers sat tense and silent. Dr. Aiden Cross studied the trembling map on his lap. His fingers traced a red circle deep in the rainforest. It was the area satellite images refused to penetrate. No GPS data, no drone footage, no signs of life. Just heat, a strange constant heat. Beside him sat Elena Vega, ex-military tracker, now turned guide. She had jungle scars and a stare sharp enough to silence most. Across the aisle was Darren Hale. Funded this whole expedition with money and arrogance. His tech company had paid for every gun, every crate, every lie. You sure this is a spot? Elena asked without looking at him. Aiden nodded. This is where the coordinates lead. The bones we found match only one species. You're still calling this a discovery? Hale laughed. We're about to find a lizard and name it after your dad. I paid $10 million for a museum dig. Aiden didn't respond. He didn't want to tell him the truth yet, that the fossils they found were too fresh, that the claw marks on the trees were not fossilized at all, that the satellite heat signature was still rising. He needed proof first. Hard proof. That's why they were here. The plane touched down rough, on a cleared patch hacked by locals days before. The team stepped out into a wall of green. Steam rose from the soil. The air buzzed thick with unseen life. Waiting for them was Kamal, a tall, quiet man from a nearby village. He looked at them with unease. I'll take you to the edge, he said, but I won't go further. Nothing returns from inside. Hale scoffed. Ghost stories. Kamal didn't blink. Teeth stories. The group moved forward into brush. Machetes sliced the vines. Flies followed in clouds. The jungle was louder than any city. Frogs, birds, distant howls. But not once did they hear monkeys. Not a single one. Not since they crossed the second stream. That night they set camp. Aiden couldn't sleep. Something about the silence beyond the fire felt wrong. Elena kept watch. Her hand stayed on her rifle all night. Just before dawn, a tree fell in the distance. Not cut, not broken. Pushed. Something large was moving in the jungle. They moved at first light. The deeper they went, the heavier the air grew. Even birds stayed silent now. The trees stretched tall and twisted. The trunks bore deep scars as if clawed by something enormous. Elena stopped every few minutes to inspect the ground. Tracks were visible but strange. 3 toes wide apart, sunken deep like a predator. Not feline. Not bear, she whispered. Too old, but too fresh. Kamal paused at a fork in the trail. This is where I leave you. Aiden offered him more money. Kamal refused without a word and vanished into foliage without looking back. The team continued without him. There were 5 of them now. Aiden, Elena, Hale, a camera operator named Jules, and Burke, a weapons expert. Burke didn't talk much, but his rifle never left his hands. Jules filmed everything. She loved danger more than anyone should. This'll break the internet, she grinned. Jungle expedition. Hidden predator. Ancient lizard maybe. Hale pushed ahead, growing impatient. Nothing but jungle and bugs. Are we even close? Aiden stared at the map. We're 2 kilometers from the heat zone. We should reach the basin by dusk. They didn't. Midday brought the rain. Heavy sheets drowned every sound. Visibility dropped to a few feet. They pushed on blindly. Then Burke signaled to stop. Something was wrong. A deep groove ran across the ground. Not a trench. A footprint. At least 4 feet wide. Still wet. Burke knelt beside it. That's not erosion. That's fresh. And whatever made it was running. They heard a snap. Everyone froze. Jules turned with the camera, but caught only a blur. Leaves rustled. A shadow moved fast. Too fast for its size. She spun. Did you see? Burke shouted. Move. The jungle exploded behind them. Trees snapped. Something thundered through the brush. They ran blindly. Vines clawed at their gear. Aiden lost his footing and rolled down a slope. When he stopped, his head throbbed and his radio hissed. Voices cut in and out. Aiden, do you copy? Elena, I'm here where... No reply. He staggered up. The forest around him was still again. But the stillness didn't feel empty. It felt watched. He found a clearing by accident. In its center stood bones. Not scattered, not natural. Arranged, like a warning. Rib cages half buried. Skulls picked clean. One had a camera lens lodged in its jaw. He backed away and turned. Something was watching him from the tree line. Yellow eyes. Low to the ground. Silent. A flash of teeth. A blur. Then it was gone. Aiden wandered until dusk and found Elena again. She looked shaken. "Jules is gone," she said. "Bert, too." We heard something. Then nothing. Then screams. Hale stumbled into camp later, covered in mud and fear. Something chased me. I fired 5 rounds. It didn't stop. That night, they didn't light a fire. They huddled silent in the dark. In the distance, they heard a roar. Not a lion, not a machine. Something much worse. The jungle answered with silence. The jungle was black. Not dark black. Not even the stars broke through the canopy. Only the sound of breath and fear. Aiden clutched a flare gun. 1 shot. He didn't want to use it unless he had to. Elena sat beside him with her rifle pointed toward the trees. Hale trembled. He hadn't spoken in an hour. They waited, listening. Then came the footsteps. Soft at first. Heavy, measured, coming closer. The jungle didn't move the way it should. Branches didn't shake. No bird screamed. The air just changed. Pressed in. Something massive moved just beyond the firelight. Aiden raised a flare gun. "Not yet," Elena whispered. The footsteps stopped. A long pause. Then something stepped into the clearing. It stood over 15 feet tall, covered in dark pebbled skin that shimmered with moisture and old scars. Its head was horned, its mouth wide, its eyes deep and emotionless. Carnotaurus. It didn't roar. It didn't charge. It just watched. Then it took 1 step forward. Elena opened fire. The rifle cracked 3 times. Bullets hit scale and bounced. The beast lunged. They dove. Hale screamed. He ran into the trees. The Carnotaurus followed. No hesitation. The jungle lit up with his screams. Then silence. Aiden fired the flare. Light blazed through the clearing. The creature paused, turned back toward the fire, and hissed. It wasn't afraid, just annoyed. Elena grabbed Aiden. "We move now." They ran. Behind them the ground thundered. Branches cracked. The beast didn't slow. They slid down a hill and reached the dry riverbed. Aiden stumbled. Elena dragged him up. "Keep moving." "I saw its nest," he panted. "Bones. Cameras. It's been feeding for years." "How many?" "Dozens. Maybe more." They crossed the riverbed and found an old supply crate. One of theirs dropped earlier by drone. Elena cracked it open. Flares. Smoke grenades. A scope rifle. Aiden grabbed the scope and looked back. The beast stood at the tree line, still watching, still waiting. "It's not dumb," Aiden said. "It hunts like it remembers, like it enjoys it. We can't outrun it." "No." "Then we kill it." Elena set up a trap. The riverbed had a natural choke point, 1 way in, 1 way out. A single path the beast would have to take. She placed the smoke grenades on a delay and loaded the new rifle. Aiden baited the trail with blood from Hale's dropped pack. Then they waited. Smoke rose. Visibility dropped. But the sound was unmistakable. Thump, thump, thump. Elena held her breath. Through the smoke, the Carnotaurus charged. Fast. Too fast. She fired. The bullet hit its eye. The beast staggered but didn't fall. It roared for the first time. A deep rage-filled sound that made Aiden's bones shake. Elena reloaded. Fired again. Missed. The Carnotaurus slammed into the ridge wall. Dirt and rocks rained down. Aiden threw a flare into its face. It recoiled. Elena grabbed the last smoke and ran directly at it. "Wait, Elena!" She tossed the smoke at its feet. The jungle vanished in white haze. A scream. Gunshots. Then silence. Aiden stood frozen. Rifle ready. Minutes passed. Then movement. From the smoke came Elena, limping, covered in blood. Behind her the beast lay still. Ike gone. Head cracked. Not dead, but broken. She dropped beside Aiden. I aimed for the throat. Got lucky. We're not safe yet, he said. It's still breathing. Then burn it. Aiden didn't argue. He emptied the fuel canister on its body. Lit a flare. The night lit up orange. And finally, for the first time since entering the jungle, the silence felt clean. Fire rose high into the canopy. Smoke drifted through the trees in thick, dark ribbons. The beast's body crackled as fat and sinew burned. Elena watched in silence. Her face was pale, her shirt soaked with blood and sweat. Aiden stood beside her, still holding the empty flare gun. You think it's really dead? No, she said, but it won't hunt again. They didn't speak for a long time. Somewhere in the jungle something called out. A bird, maybe. Or maybe something pretending to be one. The sun began to rise. A weak red glow filtered through the mist. For the first time in days, they saw the sky. We need to move, Aiden said. Where? Back to the edge. Kamal marked the path on the map. Elena nodded slowly. Her leg dragged behind her. Every step left a red print in the soil. They walked for hours. The jungle was quieter now, but not peaceful, just tired, as if it had witnessed something it couldn't explain. Aiden paused once to check the satellite beacon on his belt. Still jammed. Still no signal. He wasn't surprised. They reached the basin edge by late afternoon. There they found something that stopped them cold. A drone. Crashed in a tree. Burned out. Aiden climbed and pulled the memory unit. It was intact. Back on the ground, Elena hooked it to the portable tablet. The screen blinked on. Footage played. The drone had flown over the basin. Captured movement. Trees shaking. Shadows shifting. Then, clear as day, the Carnotaurus walking upright along a ridge. Alone. Unharmed. Elena stared. That wasn't the one we killed. Aiden's voice dropped. There's more. She shut off the screen. Then we get out. We burn the maps. We never come back. They reached the river 2 hours later. The crossing was shallow but slick. Elena stumbled twice. On the far side stood Kamal. Waiting. He said nothing. Just turned and walked. They followed. By nightfall, they reached the edge of the jungle. Aiden looked back once. The trees swayed gently. Innocent, as if they hadn't tried to kill him. The extraction team arrived the next morning. Helicopters. Guns. Medics. The official report claimed an animal attack. Jaguar most likely. No mention of giant tracks or horned skulls. The footage? Missing. The satellite data? Corrupted. The fossil site? Sealed by Hale's company before the week ended. They offered Aiden a generous contract to stay quiet. He took nothing. Elena vanished from all contact. Aiden returned to the city. He wrote a report. He buried it. No one would believe him. But every night he heard the roar. Not from memory. From his window. 2 months later, Dr. Aiden Cross sat in a cold office filled with warm lies. His field notes were sealed in a drawer. Every time he tried to submit a paper, someone from Hale's company intercepted it. Friendly emails. Empty promises. Then silence. He stopped trying. Instead, he gave lectures on fossil theory. Safe topics. Controlled subjects. Skeletons that didn't move when you turned your back. But sometimes, while he spoke, his voice caught, especially when someone asked about predator behavior. One night after a long lecture, a student approached him, young, sharp-eager. Dr. Cross, you said no dinosaur evolved to hunt for pleasure. But what if one did? Aiden's hand tightened around his pen. I've seen a lot of theories, he said. But pleasure's not science. It's instinct. And sometimes it's worse than instinct. Sometimes it's memory. The student frowned. Like trauma? Aiden nodded. Like a scar that never fades. A mind that remembers what it was. And what it did. The student left confused. Aiden stayed in the lecture hall long after the lights dimmed. He had dreams now, not of the jungle, but of cities, of claw marks on glass buildings, of traffic lights swaying over empty streets, of deep, heavy footsteps echoing through alleys. He stopped watching the news. Too many animal attacks in regions once marked by satellites. Too many hushed disappearances. One morning, he received a package. No return address. Inside was a hard drive. Encrypted. Old tech. He plugged it into his offline system. Video opened. Drone footage. Trees. Movement. Then a face. Elena. She stood in front of a stone wall. Behind her were cave drawings, ancient ones, showing horned beasts chasing men. Not hunted. Hunted by. She looked straight into the lens. "I told you never to come back," she said. "But I did. One last time. You were right. It's not just one." The feed cut to static. Aiden stared at the screen. The date on the file was last week. She was alive. Still in the jungle. Still fighting. He looked to the locked drawer. Opened it. Pulled out the map. Folded. Faded. But not forgotten. He didn't know what he'd do next. But he knew what he couldn't do. Forget. Some truths are too sharp to bury. Some monsters don't sleep. Some still walk.